Hello and welcome. I'm Andy Richmond and this is the inside story on this weekend's Broncos and Giants clash, brought to you by NFL Insight, where we'll take a look at the betting on the game, assess some of the important elements within the game and how they could affect the dynamics of this contest, and give you just a little taste of some of the trading statistics that exist throughout this match from our exclusive and innovative match trading statistics sheet, which are available via the Insiders Club at NFL Insight. So let's take a look at how the bookmakers assess this game and how that compares with the NFL Insight Master Tissue price, where you can see that we would have the Bears at a slightly longer price, 1.56, than the 1.5 that is currently available. But that, given the team's contrasting first games, is understandable, and we'll touch on those in a moment. Within NFL Insight, we also produce our own prices on various scoring outcomes, and you can see some of them here, with the Broncos around a 38% chance to score the first touchdown, or in betting odds 13-8. Those prices are mirrored in the fixed odds market, but comparing those percentages gives you an idea of how much perceived value there is in that market. All of these prices are available via our trading sheets, so that you can compare a real price based on hundreds of similar games with what you're being offered in the marketplace. Your own tissue in your own hands. Moving on, let's take a look at the prices that are offered on the Matchbook exchange, which is well worth a look as an alternative to Betdaq and Betfair, with good liquidity and excellent coverage on the NFL. On the money line with Matchbook, the Broncos are strong, reflecting that electric first win of the season. Although for those of you taking the odds on, it should be remembered that the Broncos do face a different situation here and are on the road this time. Similarly, on the handicap, the Broncos are asked to give away 4.5 points, and that line makes this a real pick-em game. As we've seen earlier, we make the true spread on this game around 4 points, and you could expect to maybe see the line move towards that during as we get towards the weekend. Finally, with Matchbook, it's the points line that's set at 55. With the explosion of points that both sides saw in their first game, it's not surprising to see that marker set this way. And the Broncos move the ball in their game well against the Ravens, racking up 47 points and looking particularly potent. Although it would have been only the side's Super Bowl meeting that has seen that points line topped, the Giants winning that encounter 39-20 way back in 1987. The previous 10 meetings between the sides have all gone under that line. And we'll reflect on those meetings now and how the season has started for the Broncos and the Giants. There's only been 3 meetings this century between these two, and only 10 since 1972. And if we take out that Super Bowl meeting, the series is level at 5-all. The last time Denver came to the Big Apple was back in 2005, and they lost that game by a single point, 24-23. Looking at the start to the season, the Broncos experienced what I can only describe as an explosive and electric start, beating up Baltimore 49 points to 27 on the arm of Peyton Manning, who threw 7 touchdown passes. It was a rather different story for the Giants. They're 0-1 after a mistake-riddled and turnover-riddled performance versus Dallas, where 6 turnovers were the sum total of a lot of their offensive effort. And that was a situation that made almost Coach Tom Coughlin explode. His face was a picture on the sidelines. So that's the background to the game, but let's take a look at how the match dynamics can sort this game out, and 5 keys to the game for each side. We'll start with the Broncos. Much was made of their decision to sign Peyton Manning after his high-profile neck injury and surgery, but he's had a quick start to the season and is clearly a master at commanding the offense and using the tools at his disposal. Manning threw a record-tying 7 touchdown passes, something no one else had done in 44 years, and quickly shredded the Ravens' defense. He's one of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL, and it's impossible to overstate his importance to the Broncos. What is almost important, though, is that the Broncos have given him something to work with in the receiving corps, and that group contains Demaryius Thomas, Julius Thomas and Wes Welker, and it looks one of the best in the NFL. I didn't include Eric Decker in that little group, but he was the odd man out in that opening game of the season, but if he comes to the party, then Manning has plenty to work with. One of the biggest questions that affected the Broncos this year was how the Denver defense would shape up without Von Miller and Elvis Dumervil. They may not have worried though, as they coped well with the loss, and in the shape of Sean Phillips, the former Charger, he applied plenty of pressure that many, including myself, questioned whether they would get in the absence of Von Miller. Yes, he got a favourable matchup against rookie right tackle Ricky Wagner, but to his credit he took full advantage and did more than just rush the passer, adding 2 stops against the run early in the second quarter and even dropping to cover Ray Rice on a wheel route, which he did so well that forced Joe Flacco to throw the ball out of bounds. More performances like this in the first 6 weeks and the Broncos will start to build a real defensive identity even without Miller, which will make his return, when it comes, all the more intimidating for the rest of the AFC. The Broncos' disastrous coverage display in the playoffs last season was all the more bizarre for how well they had played in coverage during the regular season. On the evidence of the first game, it looks like the regular season form will re-emerge rather than the playoffs sparking a new trend. That will be important against the Giants, who can launch some deep shots via Eli Manning, and we all know what a deep shot did to the Broncos' playoff aspirations last year. As much as the Broncos are a passing team, they do need to establish a run also to stop them becoming one-dimensional. If Manning is going to throw 7 touchdown passes every week, then the Broncos may not need a running game, but as good as he is, that is very unlikely to happen. Denver running backs had just 21 carries against the Ravens, and none of them averaged more than 4 yards per carry. Sean Moreno got the start mainly due to his ability to protect the quarterback, and he led the team with just 9 carries. Monty Ball and Ronnie Hillman had little to do with the outcome. Yes, the Broncos will be pass happy this season, and the league is clearly trending in that direction. Still, having a balanced offense though will be beneficial in the long run. Offensive coordinator Adam Gass' new fast-paced offense looked like something many teams in the league won't be ready for. However, creating a legitimate running game will make catching up to this offense nearly impossible. That's an insight into the dynamics that the Broncos must execute well, but what about the Giants? Turnovers. They will kill any team, no matter how good you are, and the Giants committed 6 on Sunday against the Cowboys. Ball security and retention is a must for New York in this matchup. Without it, they have no chance of winning. Eli Manning faces his big brother Peyton on Sunday for the 3rd time. The score is 2-0 in the older sibling's favour. For Eli to beat his brother this time, I'm convinced he needs more help than he is getting, both from his offensive line and a running game that works and delivers, so that he doesn't get left with statistics like the ones he came out of the Dallas game with, which were 24 of 42, 450 yards, 4 touchdowns, but 3 interceptions. And a lot of those interceptions were forced by him not having a running game and the offensive line not protecting him correctly. What would really help Eli is an offensive line that works. The Giants haven't had a particularly strong offensive line for years now. They find occasional success stories and spend much of the year juggling lineups, but can't seem to nail down a unit that can really help the team. Eli Manning has proven he can play in the face of pressure before, but the Giants must know that it would be even better if he didn't have to. We highlighted the fact that the Broncos must develop their running game. For the Giants, it's not only a question of developing it, it's a question of using it effectively, something that running back David Wilson had the chance to do, but comprehensively blew on Sunday. The clear out in the New York backfield was his chance to regain his rightful place on top of the workload pile. Unfortunately for him, he put the ball on the ground twice in 7 carries, losing both fumbles. Wilson deserves another chance, but for the Giants to be fully effective, they must be able to run the ball well to gain field position and control the clock. It's vital they keep Peyton off the field with his high-octane offense. As much as they may get burned when turning the heat up on Peyton Manning, you can't just let him stand there and throw, and to that end he must feel pressure at some point. It's been a while since Justin Tuck was at his best when he anchored the Giants' defensive line as it terrorised opposing offences. Now he's firmly a backseat passenger as Jason Pierre-Paul has taken over as the driver of the truck. This game showed us a little. The last game against the Dallas Cowboys showed us a little of the old Tuck. He notched a sack, a knockdown and 4 more hurries from his 36 rushes. Pierre-Paul, coming back from an injury and a game-time decision, didn't start the game but still managed to record 51 snaps, earning a sack and 3 hurries from his outing. More from this pairing is needed to keep Denver turning this into a passing exhibition from Peyton Manning. I mentioned at the top of the show our exclusive trading stat sheets, and those have a lot of information about how sides have responded in certain situations before and how often they go on to win a game in certain situations. These give you a guideline and a price to compare with what on offer from the bookmakers at that time in in-play betting. Here you can see what the true prices should be in the following situations at half-time, and we also take a look by comparing games of a similar nature how likely situations are to happen. Here you can see that in games of a similar nature and stature that a lead of 10 plus points at half-time, the Broncos are very unlikely to blow that situation, and what the likelihood is in a variety of situations throughout the second half to enable you to enhance your trading decisions. Those statistics are a small taster of the cornucopia of data that is available in those sheets, which are exclusive to NFL Insight. Match previews are a small part of what we do at NFL Insight, but be sure to subscribe to the NFL Insight TV channel via YouTube for all the latest previews, and I'll be back soon with further match previews and all the big games in the NFL. Come and get involved with us at NFL Insight for all your NFL previews, statistics, trading views and betting advice. NFL Insight is at the forefront of a new way of looking at and betting on the NFL.